case you couldn't guess, I'm a politician. So boy, are you in trouble. I really want to thank everybody for being here to join together, and I'm honored to be here. The Niagara Foundation is a wonderful additional chance for us to try to come together and appreciate each other and find new things to do together. And I'm both President of the State Board of Education. Whether you knew what you were doing or not, you've elected me twice if you go to Michigan, so I thank you for that. I'm also a neighbor here in Ann Arbor, and I see some friends and neighbors here too. So, Amar and Paul, thank you for inviting me to come here. But I was thinking, I'm also a preacher's kid. And I don't think, it's been a while since I've been in such a sort of faith-oriented gang of people. But it was reminding me there are many real impacts, some profound that I'll try to share in a minute about what it means. And we were asked to talk a bit personally and then a bit more broadly about our influence of our religion. My dad being a Presbyterian minister who had several sets of churches, mostly in the coal fields of West Virginia, sort of war and poverty era where I grew up. The thing that just occurred to me, I hadn't thought about for a while, naming, I'm one of three brothers, Samuel, John, and Paul. The New Testament and the Old Testament. But then it extended to the pets. And I thought it for a long time. So our dogs, we only had dogs. We had Judith, which was shortened to Judy, so the box. We had Tobit, shortened to Toby. Samson was a great name for a St. Bernard. I mean, that really was perfect. But the more bizarre and eccentric were my dad named our German Shepherd Zwingli after an obscure 15th century Protestant theologian who he was particularly fond of. So we were the only people, we didn't live on a block, we lived on the country with a dog named Zwingli or anything. But and again, I appreciate, you know, my wife, Therese, we've been here now for 10 years, Michigan for 20 because she's the native, and she would be with us tonight. But it's the opening night of Huron Players, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, and my son Murphy is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. So it's not too late, there's probably some tickets available for the next few nights and Sundays, so go see it, it should be incredible, but I'm delighted to be with you. So, as a minister's kid, growing up with parents, I think, whose life was attempts at service. And I grew up in West Virginia, though my parents were from Cleveland and Philadelphia, respectively. And, you know, I remember my dad, who became very involved in the environmental movement, being awakened early to go, in this case, tragically, you know, a Buffalo Gap, a dam collapsed that the coal companies had built imperfectly and flooded a town and killed 150 people. And he was gone early one morning when I was a little kid because he went to try to minister and be helpful. My mom ran for school board in the little community that we lived in because they were stealing the new federal school lunch money that was available, and the principal was sexually abusing kids. So she didn't win as a reformer. And in fact, we became not safe for us to go to the public schools, so we sought refuge in the Catholic schools. So I grew up 5-6 years in Catholic schools as the only Protestant, you know, agitator, causing trouble. Everyone went to communion. I put a little tax on their seats, you know. Whose middle name was something like Cartwright, which is a Scottish name. It wasn't John Paul. But my parents split up, as sometimes happened, and then sought refuge at boarding school. Went back to Philadelphia. You know, my grandfather went to Quaker school and went to Quaker college. And so there I fell in, again, not happy my parents split up, very happy to fall into a family of Quaker values, which included service to others, peace, tolerance and welcoming of all, equality of the sexes, always co-ed. So those values certainly continue to shape and inform what I came to view as important, what I certainly, all of that came to inform my understanding. Like, our job here on earth is to try to be of service. And I believe in politics. I believe in, like, the right version of politics. It's about service to people and nurturing and linking arms with other people to mobilize effort to accomplish goods of helping those who don't have as much be lifted up, and helping create more equality and better opportunity for education and the chance to have a decent income and family and all the things that most of us benefit from. So that certainly shaped my disposition. And the chance to also experience and learn from these diverse faiths that I happen to fall in among and appreciate myself. And I do think that's why this coming together tonight is so important, because taking this gathering and just blowing it up to be what we as Americans, we as citizens of Michigan and the world, I do believe that this country, I'm a great believer in the founding premise of America, which is unique and is exceptional, that this is a place, uniquely in much of the history of the globe, that a country was formed and tries to live up to its reputation of being founded on the principle that different types of people from different religions, from different tribes and ethnicities can come together and make a plural society not only work, but thrive and be a source of strength. And living up to that promise and that ideal is our quest. And it's a challenge for us, but it is a bigger challenge for the rest of the globe, where tribes, ethnicity, countries founded as an ethnic group. This is hard for the French. What does it mean to be French? Can you be an Arab French person? What does it mean to be German? Can you be a Muslim German? What does it mean to be Chinese or Korean? These are real challenges. The whole world's got to find a way to come together and become shared citizens and co-conveners, co-inhabitors, co-workers together to build society across these bounds of race and tribe. And that is the project of America, certainly, but it's now a project that we have to do well here in every community, in every state, in our whole country, but also help the world learn to do. I wish we could get over our economic problems in America so we could go back to the business of being that both light and gentle helpmate to help the whole world come together. Because we actually need a whole new world order of managing a diverse international regime where we're all connected totally by communication, by finance, by the environment. We need a new round of leadership to figure out how do we manage that? How do we live and work together happily on this planet, which is now one village, just as this is one village. Just two quick illustrations, and then I'll close, I promise. I just came from Global Detroit is an effort to try to, which a lot of us and others who couldn't be here are there, friends of ours. How do we help Detroit be a community that appreciates there's wonderful strength in welcoming new immigrants, to repopulate our cities like Detroit, to be a source of refreshment, of ideas and connections to the world and entrepreneurial energy. That kind of effort, and also understanding that's how Detroit was created to begin with. When the assembly line and the auto plants were opened here, they attracted people from all over the world. When Henry Ford opened the Rouge, 100,000 people went to work in 1917. They were from 45 countries. And the Deep South, the great African-American migration, and folks from West Virginia, where I grew up, all came here seeking opportunity. That's what built us. Immigrants and migrants are what made this place great. We have to appreciate that's what makes us great again. And there's a source of renewal and growth and energy and population and new business. So that's the set of understanding we're trying to create. I was also, as some of you involved in education, you get to do wonderful things. You're involved in politics. You get to do things that are a little different from you thought the job description. You just don't picture it because you don't know what it's going to be. So last night, I was in Milan, just south of here, because a gentleman and a small group of Native American residents, they'd come 10 years ago to the State Board of Education, pointing out that in many communities still, we have mascots and symbols that are from Indian and Native American culture that seem to most of us who don't see it the way they do, as, this is historic, this is part of our tradition, the Chippewas and the Hurons and, the Tomahawks and the Redskins. To them, having the red man of my land is like saying, we're the black man or the kite man. It's offensive. And so we passed a resolution, exhortation. Local districts, please get out of the business of using Native American symbols and artifacts and identities that are grossly offensive to the Native community. And I was down in my lawn because they were beginning to they weaned themselves of some, but they're going to bring back some tomahawks and some other things. And so I was with the Indian American gentleman who was making the argument, and just to provide that kind of reinforcement, that please can we understand that what we see as something historic and part of the community for a long time is disturbingly, patently offensive and degrading through the eyes of the culture that you are identifying. And I was trying to give some examples, which I've learned, because when I went running statewide, the wonderful thing about politics is it asks you to learn from and link arms and get out and meet with people and understand them. I went to visit many of the tribal leaders around Michigan. We've got a great tribal community in Michigan. I remember Frank Eddajewizik up in the Little Traverse Band. When I left him, he gave me a pin, which I've got to find. It's a little totem. It's the medicine wheel, which has 4 colors, red and black and yellow and white. And we were talking about issues and what we face in race. And he said, we don't talk about race. We're one race, the human race. We just have different hues. And that was an example to me of the different way of thinking and the different way of seeing that is so helpful. I was also trying to say, please see the world, maybe through the prism of those who see the world in a different way, and we might find new understanding. And when I was communicating today with Jim Farrar, the gentleman who I was with in Milan, we were just emailing back and forth. He appreciated me being there to try to and keep growing and what they're doing. But he said, yes, we are all connected, and he extends it in the Native community and the tribes here and First Nation folks. They extend that set of relationships between us to the natural order. Mother Earth and Father Sky, we are all connected. And what happens to one of us affects the other. One of us as human beings, within our, not races, but multi-hues within one race, but across the boundaries where we engage with the rest of this planet. Mother Earth and Father Sky, all of us are connected. What one of us does affects the other. And also then what one of us does to be empathetic and supportive of the other affects us all. So it's wonderful that you're all here to be touching each other and supporting each other and building that empathy with each other, which will help us work together as one. Thank you very much.